My name is Hannah. I am 31 years old. This is the story of how I gave my heart to someone who broke it twice. I wish I had walked away the first time he lied. I met Brian when I was 26. He worked at a car repair shop in town. I worked in a small office, doing papers and phone calls. Every morning we both stopped at the same cafe for coffee. He would smile at me. I smiled back. He seemed kind. After a few weeks, he said hello. Then he asked if I wanted to sit with him. We talked. His voice was soft. He made me laugh. It felt easy, like we already knew each other. We started meeting every morning. Then he asked for my number. He texted me funny things. He asked about my day. One day he said, "I like you, Hannah." My heart felt warm. I said, "I like you too." We started going out. It felt like a dream. He opened doors for me. He called me every night. He told me I was beautiful. I had never felt so happy. After 7 months, he asked me to move in. I said yes. I packed my things and moved into his small apartment. It was not big, but I was happy. I thought love was enough. But after a year, things changed. He stopped talking to me like before. He came home late. He looked at his phone all the time. He smiled less. I asked, "Is something wrong?" He said, "No, I'm just tired." One night, he left his phone on the table. A message popped up. It said, "Miss you already." My hands shook. I felt cold. I opened the message. Her name was Emily. I read more. They had met many times. He told her things he used to tell me. He called her love. He said he missed her. My eyes filled with tears. When he came home, I stood by the door. I held his phone. I asked, "Who is she?" He looked at me. He didn't say anything. Then he said, "It didn't mean anything." I cried. I shouted. I asked him why. He said he was sorry. He said it was a mistake. He said, "It will never happen again." I told him to leave. He packed a bag and walked out. I sat on the floor and cried. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I loved him, but he broke me. 2 weeks passed. He came back to the apartment. He knocked on the door. I didn't open it at first. He said, "Please, Hannah, just let me say sorry." I opened the door. He looked tired. His eyes were red. He said, "I made the worst mistake of my life. I don't care about her. I only want you." I said, "How can I trust you again?" He said, "I'll do anything to fix this. Just give me one more chance." I still loved him. My heart was weak. I wanted to believe him. So I said yes. He moved back in. At first he tried. He made dinner. He left small notes. He said sorry every day. I tried too. I wanted to feel close to him again, but something inside me was broken. Still, I stayed. I told myself, people make mistakes. Maybe this is love. Weeks turned into months. We looked normal from the outside, but inside I felt lost. I smiled less. I laughed less, but I kept trying. One evening, I came home early from work. Brian was in the kitchen. He looked nervous when he saw me. His phone was in his hand. I asked, "Who are you talking to?" He said, "Just a friend." I didn't believe him. I felt that cold fear again. That night while he slept, I checked his phone. There was a new name this time. Katie. They had been texting for weeks. He told her she was pretty. He said he liked talking to her. He sent her photos. My heart broke again. I sat on the floor and cried quietly. I didn't wake him. I didn't shout this time. I just cried alone. The next morning I made breakfast. He acted like nothing was wrong. I didn't eat. I just looked at my plate. Then I said, "I saw your messages." He stopped chewing. His face went pale. I said, "You said it would never happen again." He opened his mouth, but I didn't let him speak. I said, "I gave you a second chance. I stayed. I forgave. And you did it again." He said, "Hannah, I'm sorry. I don't know why I do this. Please, I can change." I looked at him. I felt nothing. No more pain. No more anger. Just emptiness. I said, "I don't believe you. Not anymore." That night, I packed a small bag. I went to stay at my friend Zoe's house. I didn't tell him when I would come back. I just left. Zoe gave me tea and held my hand. She said, "You didn't do anything wrong." I stayed quiet. I looked out the window. I thought about all the times I believed him, all the times I hoped he would be better. And then I thought, why did I stay? Maybe I was scared to be alone. Maybe I wanted love so badly that I took the pain with it. But now I knew. I didn't want to cry myself to sleep anymore. I didn't want to feel small in my own home. I wanted peace. I wanted honesty. And I knew Brian could never give me that. Before I share the rest of my story, I want to ask you something. Where are you listening from? Sometimes I wonder if someone out there truly hears me. Someone who understands what I'm feeling. It gives me strength to know I'm not alone. So please, tell me in the comments. I stayed at Zoe's house for many days. She gave me a small room with a bed and a chair. It was quiet. I needed quiet. I needed to think. Zoe made tea for me every night. She did not ask too many questions. She just said, "I'm here if you need me." That helped more than anything. My body was tired, but my heart was more tired. I did not feel like myself. I woke up early but stayed in bed. I looked at the wall for hours. I thought about Brian. I thought about our home. I thought about the second lie. The first time he cheated, I cried and forgave. The second time, I left. But even after leaving, the pain stayed with me. I looked at my phone each day. There were many messages from Brian. He said he was sorry. He said he missed me. He said, "You are my one and only." I did not answer. I turned off my phone and placed it in a drawer. I did not want to see his name again, but I still thought of him. At night, I closed my eyes and remembered how he smiled when we first met. I remembered our walks, our small dinners, our quiet nights watching old movies. I also remembered the first time I saw that message from the other woman. My stomach turned every time I thought of it. I could not forget. I could not pretend it did not happen. After a week, I told Zoe I wanted to find a job near her place. She smiled and said, "That's a good idea." I found a job at a supply office close by. It was a simple job. I placed papers in files. I answered short phone calls. The people were nice, but I kept to myself. I smiled when they said hello, but I did not want to talk much. I was still healing. At lunchtime, I sat alone. I looked out the window and watched people walk by. I saw couples holding hands and wondered if they were happy. I wondered if the woman ever cried at night like I did. I wondered if the man was kind or if he had secrets too. Each evening, I walked back to Zoe's place. She would be in the kitchen or reading a book. She smiled when I came in and always said, "Welcome home." That small word, home, made me feel warm. I was not in love. I was not smiling much, but I was safe. One Friday evening, I went for a longer walk. The sky was light pink, and the trees moved slowly in the wind. I sat on a bench near a small shop and looked at the sky. My heart felt heavy, but my eyes stayed dry. I thought, maybe this is the start of something new. Maybe this is my first step without him. That night, I opened my phone again. There were many missed calls from Brian. One message said, "Please meet me. One last time." I looked at the words for a long time. I did not know what to do. I still felt hurt, but part of me wanted to hear his voice one more time. I asked Zoe what she thought. She said, "Only go if you feel strong enough. Not for him, for you." I thought about it for a while. Then I said yes. I told Brian we could meet for 10 minutes in the park near the train stop. The next morning, I wore a plain blue shirt and jeans. I tied my hair back and walked to the park. I saw Brian sitting on a bench. He looked tired. His hair was messy. His eyes were red. When he saw me, he stood up. "Hi, Hannah," he said. I sat down but said nothing. He looked at me and said, I miss you so much. I can't eat. I can't sleep. I made a mistake. Again. I don't know why I do this, but I need you. Please come home. I looked at him. I wanted to cry, but no tears came. I took a deep breath and said, I gave you my heart, twice, and you broke it. Twice. He shook his head and said, I didn't mean to hurt you. I said, but you did. You said sorry last time. I stayed. I believed you. But you lied again. He looked down. He had no words. I stood up and said, I don't trust you anymore, and I don't want a life where I feel small. He tried to hold my hand, but I moved away. Goodbye, Brian, I said. Then I walked away. Back at Zoe's, I sat on the bed. I looked at my hands. They were shaking a little, but my heart felt quiet. Not happy, but still. Zoe came into the room and said, How was it? I said goodbye. For real. She sat next to me and said, I'm proud of you. That night, I slept a little better. I did not dream of Brian. I did not wake up with tears. I just slept. After another week, I found a small room for rent. It was tiny, but clean. I moved my few things in and bought a second-hand table and one chair. I made tea in the morning and ate toast. I listened to the radio while I got ready for work. I still worked at the supply office. I started to talk more to the people there. One woman's name was Diane. She sat near me and always brought fruit to share. We talked about simple things like the weather and music. It felt nice to talk again. One Saturday, I took the train to the market. I walked past the place where Brian and I used to go. I stopped for a moment. I looked at the coffee shop we liked. Then I walked away. I did not feel weak. I did not feel sad. I felt free. I was not the same woman who begged for love. I was not the woman who stayed after lies. I was someone new. I was someone who learned that being alone is better than being with someone who does not respect you. Some nights I still felt lonely. I still thought about what I lost, but I also thought about what I found. I found peace. I found sleep without crying. I found mornings without fear. I found strength. I did not need big things. I just needed to feel safe, to feel like myself again. I was not all the way there yet, but I was close. I was walking toward it, one small step at a time. One afternoon, I got a text from Brian. Just one line. It said, I hope you're okay. I did not answer. I deleted it. Then I made myself tea and sat by the window. The sun was warm on my face. I looked outside and thought, I will be okay. Not today. Not all at once. But soon. 1 month passed since I moved into my new place. It was quiet. It was simple. But it felt like home. I started to enjoy small things again. I liked washing the dishes while music played in the background. I liked walking to the small shop around the corner and buying apples. I liked sitting on the floor with a warm blanket and a hot drink. I was not happy all the time, but I was no longer sad all the time either. That felt like a good start. Every day, I woke up a little stronger. I got up early, made my tea, and ate breakfast before work. I walked to the office slowly, watching the birds and the people. I started to smile at strangers. Some smiled back. It made me feel like I was part of the world again. At work, Diane and I became friends. She was kind and soft-spoken. She always brought fruit, and sometimes she gave me small cookies too. One afternoon, she looked at me and said, "You seem different now. Better." I smiled and said, "I feel better. I feel quiet inside." She nodded and said, "That's the best kind of peace." I did not think about Brian much anymore. Some days I thought of him, but the memories no longer hurt. I did not miss the lies. I did not miss the cold silence. I only missed the idea of love. But even that was starting to fade. I now knew that love without honesty is not real love. It's just a trick that makes you feel small. One evening, I came home and made soup. It was raining outside. I listened to the sound of the rain while I ate. I looked at the window and felt something new. I felt proud. I thought, I made it here by myself. I did not wait for someone to save me. I saved myself. I started writing small words on my fridge with letter magnets. Simple words like calm, strong, and safe. They helped me remember that this new life was mine. It didn't come from someone else. It came from me. One Saturday, Diane invited me to a small park. She brought sandwiches and drinks. We sat on a bench near the water. We talked about music, family, and small memories. Then she asked, "Do you think you'll fall in love again?" I thought for a moment. Then I said, "Maybe one day. But next time, I'll wait longer. I'll make sure the words are true." She smiled and said, "Good." Later that evening, I sat by my window again. I thought about how far I had come. I remembered the girl who cried in the bathroom because she felt unwanted. I remembered the girl who read lies on a phone and still said, "I'll stay." I felt sorry for her, but I also forgave her. She did not know better. She only wanted love. But I was not that girl anymore. One morning, I got a letter at work. It was from the main office. It said I was doing well in my job. They wanted to give me more hours and a small pay raise. I smiled as I read it. I felt seen. I felt like my hard work mattered. It was the first time in a long time I felt proud of myself for something I did alone. After work that day, I bought flowers, not for anyone else, just for me. I placed them in a small jar and put them near the window. Every time I looked at them, I smiled. One day, while I was walking home from work, I saw Brian again. He was across the street. He was with another woman. He looked happy. He laughed. He did not see me. I stood there for a few seconds. I did not feel sad. I did not feel angry. I just felt nothing. And then I walked away. That night I told Zoe about it. She said, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yes, I really am." She smiled and said, "You're stronger than you think." I said, "Maybe I am." I started writing small things on a piece of paper each night. Not long stories, just small thoughts. One line said, "Today I smiled for no reason." Another said, "I did not feel lonely today." I kept the paper in a drawer and read it when I felt tired. Some weeks later, Diane said there was a small music event at the park. She asked if I wanted to come. I said yes. The park was full of people. The air was warm. The music was soft. I sat on a blanket and watched the sky. I saw people dancing. I saw children laughing. I looked at all the happy faces and thought, I belong here too. That evening, as I walked home, I passed a mirror in a shop window. I stopped and looked at myself. My face looked calm. My eyes were soft. I smiled. It was a real smile, not a fake one. Not the kind you wear to hide pain. A true smile. The kind that comes when your heart is light. I opened the door to my small apartment and felt safe. I took off my shoes, made tea, and sat by the window. The night was quiet. I looked at the sky and whispered, "Thank you." I did not know who I was thanking. Maybe the sky. Maybe myself. I was not broken anymore. I was not sad all the time. I was not afraid to be alone. I was healing. Slowly but surely. I stayed after the affair and I paid the price. But then I left. And that made all the difference. Now, when I wake up, I feel hope. I make my tea. I go to work. I smile at people. I listen to music. I talk to Diane. I laugh at silly things. I enjoy the quiet. I enjoy the peace. I no longer wait for someone to love me right. I have learned to love myself.